Hello everybody and welcome back. We're getting ready to start Module 2 and we're going to be covering transition to parenthood and all the different changes, emotional, psychosocial, that occur after a baby is born. The transition to parenthood is exciting but stressful, even in the best of situations. Most parents approach parenthood by their personal values, cultural beliefs, and social expectations. The knowledge of the expectations and responsibilities is acquired formally and informally. That's when the parents pick up books, go to attend childbirth classes, or infant care classes. Incidental learning or informal learning, this is observing others in the role of learning what they're doing. You watch your friends who have babies take care of them and watch how they're changing diapers, burping, feeding. For example, other factors that can influence the transition to parenthood includes how the parents themselves were raised, what type of relationship exists between the partners. Is this relationship supportive or not supportive? Are two partners involved or is it just mom? Financial concerns can be very stressful on the couple, and other factors include the educational levels of the parents, the support systems available to them, do they really want to be a parent, and the age of the parent as well. One of the original theories on maternal identity was developed in the 1960s by Reba Rubin. Ms. Rubin discussed that there were 3 phases in the process of maternal role attainment. These 3 phases were taking in, taking hold, and letting go. The first phase, taking in, is usually the first couple of days after birth, where the woman is really more dependent on the nurse. They have difficulty making decisions for themselves. They focus on meeting their personal needs. They're excited. They're talkative. They'll tell you all about their birth experience, and it's a real dependent phase. The taking hold phase is after the first 1 or 2 days postpartum through the first few weeks. The woman is becoming more independent. She's actually focusing on the baby care, and improving her caregiving competency. She wants to take charge but still needs some encouragement from others and acceptance of her in her new role. Sometimes she's dealing with the physical and emotional discomforts because this is around the same time that the baby blues traditionally hit, which we'll talk about later on in this presentation. The third phase, the letting go phase, is when mom moves into her new role of motherhood. She's not independent, she's sort of interdependent. She still relies on her partner and the support system, but the focus turns to the family unit as a whole. Our new mom begins to resume the roles she held previously, an intimate partner, an individual, professional roles that are now incorporated with her new role as mom. Becoming a father evolves over time, just like motherhood, and the reality of becoming a father may not occur to men until the child is actually born. Usually, in their mind, they picture their child more as a young child, 4 or 5, maybe older. They don't think of infants and babies. The meaning of fatherhood varies according to the man's interpretation of the role. Its expectations and responsibilities often again influenced by what he experienced as a child and the role models that he has seen. One pattern of paternal transition to parenthood talks about stages that a father would go through as he adapts to his new role. And the first stage would be expectations and intentions. The father desires to be deeply and emotionally connected with the infant, and then he confronts reality, discovers that his expectations might not be met. He might feel sad, frustrated, or jealous. Then our dad embraces the need to be actively involved. And as dad becomes more actively involved in the care of the infant, the father will then reap the rewards of his emotional involvement. He'll see the baby responding to his presence, to his touch, to the sound of his voice, and it gives him a sense of completeness and meaning. As the meaning of families has changed, not all births are to traditional family units. The birth of a newborn can be a very challenging time for adolescent parents who are working on adapting to these challenges of caring for an infant and developing their maternal and paternal roles. Also working through the developmental task of being a teenager. And unlike adults, they have very few life experiences or coping skills to fall back on. Add to that, most times adolescent mothers live with their parents, and the father of the baby does not live with the mother in the grandparents' home. This can impact bonding and attachment as well as put stress on the couple. Same-sex parents, particularly lesbian couples, have a decision to make prior to birth. Who will carry the baby and how will they conceive? Once the baby has arrived, most lesbian couples view themselves as co-parents. They're going to share in everything, not necessarily equal, but they're going to share and work together to care for the newborn and raise their child. Both moms can breastfeed, the childbearing and the non-childbearing mother. Always ask what the plan is because each will have different needs. The initial 4 hours after birth are known as the 4th stage of labor. It's during this time that mom will need frequent assessments. The infant will be assessed frequently too, but this is when bonding and attachment are going to occur, as well as after the birth of the baby. If the baby is stable, it will be placed skin to skin with the mom, and you will see both mom and family members starting to take an interest in the infant. I can't wait until my grandbaby get here. Several factors affect both bonding and attachment. Time proximity, whether the pregnancy was planned or unplanned, and the ability of the parents to process through the necessary developmental task of parenting. Research has shown that for the baby, both physiologically and emotionally, it's important to be skin to skin with mom, ideally for at least 60 minutes right after birth. Everything other than checking the baby's vitals while the baby's laying on mom's chest can wait until after that first hour so that they have time to start forming that very important relationship. Nurses will be assessing bonding and attachment from the moment of birth through discharge. You're going to assess the behaviors that facilitate and indicate mother-infant bonding. So you're going to be observing to see if mom is talking about the newborn as part of the family. Is she doing the in-phase, the face-to-face contact, looking at the baby, in the baby's eyes? Is she responding to the infant's cues? You are also going to be assessing for behaviors that impair bonding and indicate a lack of the mother-infant bonding. Apathy when the baby cries. She doesn't go see what's going on with the baby. She expresses disappointment in the infant. She may perceive the infant's behavior as uncooperative, or she even limits close contact with the infant. And we do see these on the unit, so it's important for you to watch for these, especially in our moms who have mental health issues. Another assessment will be looking at emotions, mood swings, and conflict about her maternal role. Does she feel personally insecure? Does she feel inadequate? Does she have a flat affect or look withdrawn? Is she emotionally liable? During those first 4 hours postpartum, you're going to notice the changes in the way the mother touches the baby and handles her newborn. The first stage of maternal touch is when the mother is fingertipping the baby. She's tentatively touching different areas with her fingers. Exploring during the second stage, she becomes more comfortable and she'll use her hands. Her full hand to stroke the baby, the head, or the back, or the tummy. And then the third phase, and when she really wants to get to know the infant, she's going to hold the baby in her arms, bring the baby close, and look at the baby eye to eye. This is called in-face. Now the nurse can model these behaviors during the hospital stay, especially for moms who's showing signs of poor bonding and attachment. When the nurse is assessing the baby or carrying the baby to the mother or changing the diaper, she can model some of these behaviors. Over the last 50 years or so, you have seen fathers become more active in the labor and delivery process, the birth process, and the immediate postpartum care of the mom and infant. Early presence of the father allows him more time to get comfortable touching and holding the infant, which makes him feel more active as a member of the family. It's important that we don't push them out of the way. Pull them in, make them a part of the birthing process. Dad's involvement increases the level of bonding and attachment, so new fathers experience intense preoccupation about and interest in their infant, and this has been labeled engrossment. Engrossment is when dad wants to soak it all in. He's watching the baby's every move. He's touching the baby. He's listening to all the family comments of who this baby looks like, what are the distinct features, and is affected positively by that. He does have the perception that his infant is perfect, and that gives him feelings of great joy and helps increase his self-esteem. Early contact between parents and infants foster attachment. It lets the infant and parent learn more about each other so that they can become more aware of the cues that each makes in response to the other. This is called reciprocity. It's an inherent rhythm that exists between parents and an infant, and it becomes stronger with each interaction and the passage of time. Some of the cues that you learn from the infant are the different types of cries. Is the infant crying because they're hungry? Are they crying because their diaper is wet? Are they crying because they're tired? Over time, the parents will hear the subtle differences in the cries, which will allow them to decipher what the baby actually wants, and this is how the communication happens between parent and child. Other common communication cues used by infants are on your slide. Family dynamics are the unique ways in which family members interact and participate within the family. And there are many different types of family and family composition. You have married couples, non-married couples, adoptive couples, blended families. You have parents who stick with traditional roles versus co-parenting, where the parents or the parental figure work with each other. The unique concern of women with more than one child are that they might have the knowledge and practice because they've had children previously. But multiples, I call them multiples, that have more than 2 children, may have less help. They may be more exhausted. And you have the case of sibling rivalry, where the siblings of this newborn realize that there's something changed here. They might just not necessarily like that they don't have as much of mommy and daddy's time and attention. Your book provides you with specific examples of nursing actions for parents who are visually or hearing impaired and parents with physical impairments. What you need to do as a nurse is to make sure that their education is maximized to their ability so that they can independently care for their children. Culture also plays a big role in how a family works together in the roles and relationships. You have some ethnicities whereby tradition is it's a female-led household versus a male-led household. In some countries, the women are expected to do nothing after the delivery of a child. The family will take care of the child, and the mother will rest and recover for the next 4 weeks. With our increasingly diverse patient population, it's imperative that we as nurses provide culturally sensitive care. Professionals must acknowledge belief and value systems different from our own and consider these differences when delivering care to new families. The transition to motherhood isn't easy. Babies don't come with instruction manuals, and most women, to some extent or another, may experience the postpartum blues or baby blues. It usually occurs in the first few days to weeks postpartum. It only lasts a few days, Sometimes the symptoms can come and go. One day you're feeling good, the next you're not. It's only natural when you consider all the physiological and psychological, family and social changes that the mom and the family has to adjust to in a short period of time. But mom can still take care of herself and the infant. If the sadness lasts for more than a few days, or the mom starts to neglect self-care and or the infant, postpartum depression may be developing and the mother needs professional follow-up. Remember, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Have a great week, everyone, and I'll see you on the next voiceover.